we move on now to the Women in the Profession Nigeria Chapter Roundtable breakfast session for female legal practitioners on strategic rainmaking, empowering women for the future. Here are some of the highlights from that event. The Roundtable breakfast session of the Women in the Profession Nigerian Chapter, held on the premises of the Tier 1 law firm Udo Udoma and Bello Osage. Gathered here in this meeting room are female legal professionals from different organizations, from litigators to commercial lawyers, arbitrators, in-house counsel, public office holders, and many others. The women are excited about the opportunity to learn and share ideas on the theme, Strategic Rainmaking, Empowering Women for the Future. They are also excited about the lineup of speakers. South Africa's Tamsin Fremantle has extensive experience facilitating African capital markets development, and she led discussions on how to approach business development, brand positioning, and client management.
Don't think that just because you are the only woman in a meeting of senior financial people that you shouldn't be there. And that goes to that point that I said was made by a female Nigerian lawyer, which I loved, which was make space for yourself at all tables. Don't think that you don't deserve a space. And I would say that 25 years ago, not even 15 years ago, I think 15 years ago I was probably okay. But 25 years ago, when I was starting out, that's what I would have said. You have earned your place at the table. You deserve it, and now contribute the way that you can because of who you are.
This was followed by a fireside chat with Dr. Mama Bello Osage, partner emerita of counsel at Udo Udoma and Bello Osage, which she co-founded about 40 years ago. In 2019, she retired from her role as senior partner at the firm, but continues to offer her expertise and experience. Her pivotal role during her career continues to inspire many old and young lawyers, and this group of female lawyers gathered here are desirous of getting practical insights on how to navigate the legal landscape, build a successful legal practice that will transcend generations and leave an enduring legacy for future leaders to follow. Dr. Bello Osage did not disappoint. She talks about what the journey was like in 1983 when she co-founded the law firm with her partner, Senator Udo Udoma.
I think we were very clear that we wanted to start a firm that was not what had been the traditional litigation firm of Nigeria many years ago. He and I decided that we wanted to have a firm that was primarily a corporate-facing law firm, so one that dealt with businesses. And we wanted a firm that was structured in such a way that it would live beyond us. So we were looking at, I guess, primarily American models, to some extent the British models that had started becoming better known, I would say. We had therefore to think about what is it that would keep a firm going beyond us, and thinking of things like, who would we want to work with? How would we ensure a succession that made sense? How would we ensure financial viability? These were some of the concerns that we had at the time. What is it that would make people want to stay in the firm, or if not in the firm, at least associated with the firm? And that required building what I guess now would be a brand, but I guess we then thought more of as a reputation, a place which would make a difference. And I felt particularly strongly that it was important to make sure that it would be a firm where women could work comfortably. And it's an issue that I think a lot of firms didn't necessarily think about because they happened to be started mainly by men. I don't know if it was actually the case, but somebody had said to me before that it was, at the time, one of the few firms that was started by a female partner as well as a male. And that, I think, in some respects, defined some of the issues that we addressed fairly early on.
She also talks about the need for a business development plan, even with starting up as a law firm.
What does a startup go through? You are trying to find clients. You are trying to establish what your market is. There's so many things that are relevant in a startup that relate to the establishment of a law firm as a business. What you do as a lawyer is only part of the business. It's like selling milk. I mean, you are providing a product that effectively comes from your brain, but that's what you are selling. So think of it in that respect. And that's when I began to realize that actually we needed to be more deliberate about the business side of the law firm and not just focus on the
reputation,
law,
like what you started
with. Just saying, oh, I'm a great lawyer, and then you sort of sit around and it's like things will fall in my lap because this is the case. Sometimes they will, but that's not what is going to sustain the firm. And it raised the question for me, and I don't know how many of you have the same problem as I do. I'm not very numerate. Give me figures, I immediately go blank. Numbers, I'm like, who is, please find me an accountant. That's my reaction. And it's actually a very dangerous one, both for the law firm as a whole, but also for the various practice areas that each of you will be working on. You have to understand your numbers. Otherwise, you're not going to go anywhere. You are creating businesses. You are creating value, or you should be creating value. And it's a value that ultimately you want to be able to transfer to somebody else. One of the joys, going back to the question you kind of asked me, is that in retirement, I do have an income. Granted, UBO has thrown us out, but they paid us. And they paid us over a period of time. So I've had an income from the law firm that I built. And that's what I think everybody should seek to achieve. Just to add a comment, it defines something that I'm extremely interested in and doing a little bit of work on, which is trying to encourage women who have set up businesses, usually informal businesses. You know, they're designers, they are, I don't know, curtain makers, whatever it is. But they've never actually structured their businesses. They're just doing it. And you're saying to them, but actually you're running a business. Even if you haven't ever formalized it, should you think about formalizing it and trying to encourage them to do so? I'm working with at least 2 companies at the moment who are transitioning, I think, to more formal businesses. But it's something that I think each of us can encourage our friends to do. Whatever they are doing, think long term. You have families, you have children, you are creating value. What are you going to do about transitioning that value to your children, whether it's by way of money or whether it's by way of business? Don't just assume, oh, it's fine, it's keeping me busy, it's paying the bills, and when I retire, then what? When I die, then what? That's not what I think we seek to achieve. So I certainly wanted a firm that lived beyond me, and I think I'm grateful that the firm has actually been able to pay me.
A lot of female legal practitioners work in-house. How can they possibly scale up?
I think one of the things that strikes me is that even if you are corporate counsel, your clients effectively are all the other departments in the business. And your job is to say to them, I am making your job easier, better, more efficient. I'm ensuring you have fewer problems with the regulators. These are the things you should be thinking about, and that is the value that I add to you. So don't necessarily impose on me this thing of going to get business from somewhere else. I'm making it easier for you to do business. So structure that into the value proposition that I have. That's one thing I would encourage you to do. But certainly, and I think Tamsin made the point, being a social being is helpful. Knowing people, knowing where to get information. Networks are about, when you have an issue, who do I look to help me resolve the issue? It's not just about having fun and socializing and chatting. That's important because it lifts your spirits, it gives you joy, it it calms you down when you have friends you can call and, bitch to. But I think you should also try and make use of your networks. Who is in this industry sector that I can talk to, because I know that she will understand the need I have to have an answer. Those are the sorts of things I think each of us should think about. And those are the things that help to create a long-lasting industry, firm, practice, whatever it is.
She also speaks about how she was able to juggle wifely and motherly roles with being a co-founder of a growing law firm.
I think that anybody in that sort of position, you have to create an ecosystem of support. And it has many pillars and many legs. And I talk about family, including husbands. I relied on, to some extent, my mother-in-law. Obviously, I didn't have family locally. But I think the greater thing is to identify also staff. And I give a lot of credit to my nannies at the time. I luckily had very long-lasting nannies, I would say. I'm trying to think. I didn't have a whole lot of them, but they were extremely helpful to me. And what I liked about them was the fact that they acknowledged that they had a role in developing the children they were looking after. I have a friend who tells me, this is Ogutuga Kemi, that she always remembers my nannies, bringing the children here to sit and do their homework because I wasn't going to be at home. Remember, this was pre-internet days. This was when we were still dealing with the fax and dealing with the telex and all these sorts of things that didn't allow you to work from home in the way that we do now. So it's one of the things that I always say to people, please treat your staff well, because they can support you in so many potentially unacknowledged ways, but they can make an immense amount of difference. If you have a driver who phones you to say, "Ma, the children have forgotten their homework and I'm on my way to get it," that's a blessing. They don't wait for you to get home to say what happened, and you're now scrambling. So these are ways to make your life a little bit easier. So creating that ecosystem, recognizing where you can get the support from, and not being embarrassed, I think, and I was, but embarrassed to ask for it is an important thing. I think if you are lucky, you will realize how many people do want you to succeed. And when I say succeed, I don't necessarily mean to be, world famous, but to do what you are doing well. I think the phrase Tamsin used was to create the best you that there can be. This is an important issue. And I think for many people, you will find people who support that vision for you.
With initiatives such as this, the Leadership of Women in the Profession WIP Nigerian chapter reiterated its vision to continue to serve as a learning and leadership resource center for the development of the Nigerian female lawyer, while providing an inclusive and safe space to network, seek support, develop capacity and leadership skills.